The world of digital clones is here. If you don't have a clone yet, there's a good chance you will soon, or that someone's going to ask you to, a client, a customer, a colleague is going to ask you for access to your clone because they don't want to take up all your time. You don't have time for them, or they want to find information about what's in your head at 2, 3 in the morning when you're asleep, but they're in a different time zone. So clones are coming, my friends. I have my own that answers in a text format and an audio format. And very soon, and I mean really soon, this is going to be available in a video format, meaning you could ask me a question and you could see me just the way you do now. And ideally, it won't look or sound that much different than how I sound now. Now, the disadvantage of how you're experiencing me now is I can't see you and address you by name. With a clone, you could hit a button, see me, or see yourself if you want your own clone to be active, and someone can talk to you just like it is a one on one Zoom call. This is where it gets really exciting, friends. Now, you've probably heard a lot of information about how digital clones or artificial intelligence in general makes mistakes. It hallucinates, it just makes up stuff, it gets things wrong. Well, that is true. But so do human beings. So does the first draft of a press release or a book that you write. What do? You edit it, you refine it. Well, that's exactly what we're going to do right here today. I want to take you into this process of how you can improve your clone because my clone makes mistakes. I've had it now for about 6 weeks. And I have to say, for the most part, definitely in excess of 95%, it answers questions as I would, accurately as I would, and in most cases, better than I would because the clone's memory is perfect. Mine, it's a normal human memory. I don't think it's worse than normal, but it's a normal human memory. So I have no idea what I said about the best elements of the winning acceptance speech from the 2013 Academy Awards, but my clone does remember if you ask it. So that is what's different. But there are mistakes. Let's fix it. So I use a platform called delphi.ai. There are going to be a lot of platforms coming out. I have no doubt about that. Check around which ones you like. But this is the one I'm in, for better or for worse. So what I have to figure out is how to correct it. So what my clone does, and I'm going to assume most programs will do, is it will tell you when you have a question that comes in that you couldn't answer. So right now, this says I have 19 unanswered questions. So what I can do is try to fix those answers because I want my clone to be up to date. I want it to be accurate. I don't want it to frustrate users. The whole point of this is that the clone can represent you so you don't have to be there. And so a customer, a client, a student, someone you're tutoring, someone you're helping can access your brain, get guidance from you, get coaching from you without taking up your time, without having to pay you the same necessarily as if they were going to pay you as a private trainer. There are a lot of uses for that. I mean, just this morning I woke up and I had an inquiry from a prospect based in the Middle East wanting to know if I can train a number of talent agents. Now, it's always, and I've done work in the Middle East a lot, but it's always very, very difficult because the time zone is different. Some of the culture is different as far as that you don't leave voicemails over there. It can be tough getting together. The other issue is there are just a lot of people who are in an introductory, exploratory phase looking at a dozen different training firms, and mine's only one of them. They don't necessarily want to start having Zoom calls. They don't necessarily even want to give their phone number or their text message. They don't want to be texting or emailing them back and forth forever. Or there's the fear of that. So they like a little bit of hands-off stance. Well, that's the beauty of the clone. I can now tell a prospect, hey, I understand if you don't want to schedule a Zoom call, but you can ask my clone any questions about my training programs. And it's there for you, and it's at your convenience. So that's what I wrote to this prospect today. I also had my clone answer the question in a text format. Now, I looked at it to make sure it was more or less accurate. But at 7 in the morning, when I'm trying to get my first cup of coffee, I see this. It's already afternoon in Saudi Arabia and in the Middle East where this inquiry came in. I don't want them to have to wait till after doing my live show. So I typed their question into my clone. It popped out a beautiful 500-word letter. And then I could just tailor it and say, hey, I'm happy to chat with you later. Here's my cell phone. Here's my WhatsApp. If you got any questions in the next few hours when I'm tied up, ask my clone. Here it is. And here's general information. So it was so much faster, smoother, easier than sort of the old way, which is just, I need to ask you questions. When can we schedule a Zoom call? So let's just look at some questions that have come in from my clone to figure out what is wrong with it. Now, these are questions that I asked. I'm trying to improve it. So let's just take a look and see what has not been answered properly and what I can refine. So here's a question that comes in from David Blank. I've been teaching on Preply for many years. I can't really work with their competitors right now. Oh, and forgive me, David. Let me take that back. I do want to, something we're still working out is what the privacy policy is for folks using our clone. I'm still trying to figure out what the best practice is. So let me just go to the anonymous ones or the ones that I've done. Ben works for me, so I know I'm not violating any privacy there. Let's see what question has come up. Okay, so here's a question that I do want to have an answer for. Can someone give me guidance on uploading videos in the Q&A section? So this appears to be one of my students from the Udemy platform. And if you're in Udemy and you're taking a course, you can go to a Q&A set. Let me just go ahead and pull up a Udemy course so I'm absolutely certain I'm giving people the best information. So I'm going on another screen now and taking I'm going to go into a course. In this case, I'll go into a course where I am a student, not the instructor. And that way, I can, again, see exactly what the interface is like. Okay, so I'm in a course, and I see below a lecture, there is something that says Overview and Q&A. So for the Q&A, that is where I can search questions. I want to make sure I can ask, ask a new question. Okay. That is where you can say, hey, TJ, can you review this video? And that is where you can upload or post a URL for your video on Google or any place like that. So that's what I've got to give my clone the answer to this. Okay, so I'm going to hit answer now. And I'm going to change the answer. So I'm going to delete the old answer, which is, wow, you've got me. And I'm going to say, if you are a student of mine on Udemy, then you will need to look at the tab below a lecture. The first thing you should see is, and I believe that's what said overview. Yes, overview. Overview. Next to that is Q and A. Let me put that in quotation marks. If you're just joining me, I'm TJ Walker. This is the TJ Walker Success channel. We're all about helping you communicate more effectively and more confidently, and to do so using all the best technology available. Right now, we're focused on the technology of digital clones, because I happen to believe it is the single most revolutionary communications tool ever when it comes to communication, or at least it's right up there with the printing press and the internet itself, and what it's going to do to transform authors, experts, subject matter experts, consultants, coaches, and their ability to communicate at scale around the world in what feels like one-on-one conversations. So what I'm trying to do now is to improve my clone, to correct mistakes, to fill in gaps. This is, I guess you could argue this is computer programming. I'm not using a computer language because I'm using an interface that turns everything I'm doing into computer language. But I am essentially trying to program my clone to answer questions accurately and as I would if I could have a one-on-one conversation with someone. So I'm correcting the answer now. So if someone asks me, how do they upload videos for a critique, I'm giving them the correct answer. So next, and I do see typos, I will, of course, do a spell check before I save this. Next to that is a Q&A section. Click that button. Then go to the bottom of the page and hit, I believe it said ask a question, ask a new question. Ask a new question. There, ask me to review your video. Post a URL into the question. This should be a link to your video on Google Drive or some other file storage. Then I will review your video and leave a critique. So keep that in mind. So all I'm doing is typing. A lot of times people say, well, TJ, I couldn't possibly make a digital clone. I'm not a techie. Well, guess what? I'm not either. I don't know any programming languages. I'm not particularly tech savvy. All I'm doing is reading, typing, and clicking. If you've ever read, if you've ever typed, if you've ever clicked, you have all the skills you need to make your own digital, interactive, text, audio, and video-based clone right now. So I'm telling you, don't give yourself the excuse of, oh, I'm not a techie. I could use that same excuse too. I still remember friends where I sent them a text 12 years ago. They go, what are you doing? You're bothering me. This is newfangled stuff. Well, they're all texting now. Now you're not a text genius or a tech savvy genius if you know how to text on a phone. You're just someone who isn't an old clown. It's just considered normal. We are going to get to the point where having a digital clone is going to be seen as normal as having an email address or a website. So why don't together, let's get ahead of the curve. So I'm trying to make sure my answer is better on my clone and it's updated. Now, the other thing I should do is let my own students know that they don't have to use the platform within Udemy. They could go to my student platform and upload it directly. So I'm going to give them access to that. You can also upload your video directly by going to my student Facebook page here. And I'm going to post that right now. So I'm going to quickly take a look. It certainly looks like I have a typo there. I can see it there. I misspelled ass. So I'm going to just make a quick correction there, do a quick review. And so now I'm going to not only upload it, which I believe will save it, it's notifying the user. In this case, it was my colleague, Ben, who had asked that question on behalf of a student. So I'm going to hit that. So now when someone asks that question, my clone should no longer say, oh, I don't know, you got me. It should give it the exact precise answer. So this, in a nutshell, is how you make your clone more accurate, how you upgrade it, how you improve it. Let's switch gears now and do a little preview. We got a very exciting guest coming up in our next segment. He's been nice enough to show up early. Hi, Rob. How are you today?
I'm doing very well. Thanks. Yourself?
Fantastic. I just got to hit record on our master here. So we have our high quality video. So looking forward to our conversation coming up. Just like to do a little pre-interview here. We are live, but this is not what people are going to hear when they listen to the podcast first thing. We'll have a nice, proper introduction for you. Now you have a book, but it's coming out. It's not on Amazon yet, correct?
Correct. So the great thing about writing a book is writing the book. The challenging thing about writing a book is everything else that comes with writing a book.
Yes.
The editing, the promoting, the so on and so forth. And as you well know, and I learned the hard way, you cannot just put a book on Amazon and boom, it's there the day you put it there. So with delays in writing and delays in editing, that caused a delay in launch. Any day now, the book will be available on Amazon.
Okay. So I'm still happy to talk about it. We'll promote it. We'll get it up there. We just can't go live on Amazon until it is on Amazon. But we'll be live on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter X, Instagram, Twitch, and a handful of other places. So we're going to try to do our best to get the word out.
Fantastic.
Before we switch over and start the interview properly, I always like to ask my guests and let them know I respect your time. Your time is valuable. I want to make this as valuable as possible to you and our audience. What specifically would you like to talk about that sometimes people forget to ask you, or they just don't go there, and you feel frustrated? Well, we did another interview. We didn't quite cover this. Where would you like to go in this area? Because we do have the beauty of time. It's not the Today Show where it has to be exactly 2 minutes and 50 seconds.
So my goal today is not.
And I apologize, Rob. I want to make you look and sound your best. I'm getting a bumping. Do you?
Oh, that's my fault. Yep.
I want to make you. We try to make our guests look the best. So I don't know if it's you're touching your table, but it's causing.
That's exactly it. I'm a little bit excited.
Okay, well, we're glad for that. Also, is it a laptop or what is it you're using?
It is a laptop.
Is there any way you can put the lens down so the top of your head is almost touching the screen? And that way we can see more of you there. And now it's more like we're peers rather than me looking down on you. Okay. I apologize for interrupting, but we always like to make our guests look their best.
So in answer to your question, I did not come here to sell books. I mean, I wouldn't mind if somebody was interested in buying, but what I have come here to do is to really share the message of social enablement. Social enablement is leveraging the social media platforms to build connection, build relationships, and lo and behold, eventually that leads to selling. And I say eventually, in fact, it leads to selling more quickly and deeper than the connect and pitch, and then the cold email, cold outreach, cold phone calls kind of thing. So
Mhm.
my goal today here is really just to bring to the audience the message of social enablement, what
Mhm.
it means to be social in the modern age, the way Dale Carnegie taught us 85 years ago.
Yeah, you've got, Dale Carnegie's book. There are a few minor things that have to be updated, but in general, it still is a good read. I read it 30 years ago. I reread it maybe 4 or 5 years ago. So much of his advice is still really good, whether you're talking about his public speaking book or his book on how to win friends and influence people.
Yep.
People do like it when you show interest in their concerns, not yours. Now, some people overdo the whole name thing, but yes, people do like it when you remember their name and mention their name. And even his book of advice on public speaking is still accurate in that he says, don't read, sound like you're conversational, things I
Right.
have to stress to people every single day. Now, we're going to be promoting flywheelresults.com when we get into the show. You're sharing your Twitter and your LinkedIn. Is LinkedIn the social platform you really like the most, where you feel it's best for business?
Absolutely. Not only is it best for business, they being the organization that is LinkedIn, are really trying to get more people to stop thinking of it as the digital resume platform and start thinking of it as a social network. It is a great place for establishing connection. And it just so happens that you're establishing connection with other professionals, which is in the business world what you want to be doing.
Mm-hmm. Great. Well, we'll dive into more of that as well. If you're watching this, we're going to take a quick couple of minute break, and when we're come back, we'll be diving right into our in-depth interview with Rob Durant. He is a sales expert. He's an executive coach. He's involved with flywheelresults.com is his website. We're going to learn all about his business, how he helps other businesses, maybe even helps a business like yours, really enable the power of social media to help you. So it's going to be a fun interview. You're going to want to tune in. If you want to ask Rob a question directly, you can connect with us and appear right on camera on StreamYard, but we're going to be at a different link. We have to take a 2-minute break to reconnect on a different system and get kind of a fresh start, and we will see you there. So, Rob, you have the second link, correct?
I do.
Great. All right, we'll see you in just a minute.
All
Now,
right.
just join us in 1 minute, Rob.
Will do.